I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Oh, not that guy. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. This is the 233rd episode of the Political Spotlight. I am your host, as always, Kristopher Bilbrey. Hope you're having a great Sunday evening wherever you're at. If you're watching live, if you're watching this later on, I hope you're having a great time and date of your choosing. It's been a good weekend. A little rainy yesterday, but other than that, a pretty decent Saturday, fairly decent Friday evening. We've had a wonderful day today, a little on the cool side, a beautiful day outside, kicking off a weekend, and coming to the close of this weekend, obviously coming to a close of the month of June. I cannot believe it. We are now in a very sad state where our days are actually, and it's hard to believe that this happens so soon, but we are now working backwards. Our days are actually getting shorter now. We are headed downward until that dreadful day somewhere around the 20th or 21st of December, where we will have the winter solstice and our days will be the shortest day of the year. It's just I live in two spaces. I'm anxiously awaiting summer and the days to grow longer, and then dreading that March till complete darkness. I just absolutely hate it. But it's still summer for a while, so we won't get too gloomy yet. Tomorrow morning, God willing, we will wake up into the 1st of July, a great month. The 4th of July is around the bend. And, hey, after last Thursday's presidential debate, we need something to celebrate here in America, because that debate, something. All right. Hey, well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a lot to talk about this evening. Here in just a few minutes, we will be joined by a guest you know her, you love her, or maybe you know her and you hate her. I don't really know. One or the other, but you will know her more than likely if you are a longtime viewer. Of course, we will be joined by contributing correspondent Katherine Callahan in just a few moments. Before we get there, I do have to ask you, as always, if you are watching via YouTube, please consider hitting the like button. Giving us a like on this episode can help us out. We would very much appreciate it. If you're watching via YouTube and you are not a subscriber, please consider hitting the subscribe button. You can do that for absolutely free. It costs you nothing. And while becoming a subscriber doesn't really give you much of any kind of perks, it will let you then hit the bell, which will allow you to set up your notifications so you can be notified when we go live, when we drop static videos, when we drop shorts, and just anytime we pop on and go live for a live episode Sunday through Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, or if we go live some other time. So that's kind of neat. Also, we are a very interactive show, and that means we want to hear what you have to say. Whether you're watching live, please, if you are, comment over here. If you're watching on your own time on repeat or via replay, please comment in the chat box down below. And above all else, please share the show with everyone. You know that helps us a lot. Before we bring our guest on, I do want to remind everybody, very important to remind folks, because this is something that we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Today is Sunday, June 30th, 2024, which means it is the 181st day, 181 days with no correspondence from Muncie at-large city councilor Dale Basham. He has refused to respond to our questions, our concerns, our comments. Basically, since before he took office. As councilor-elect, we attempted to reach out and send some questions to him, which he did not respond to, and I didn't really hold that against him. But starting January 1st, 2024, when he took office, I sent a series of questions, and I have been waiting for 181 days solid with no correspondence, no phone call, no text message, no Facebook Messenger, no Instagram Messenger, no Twitter, no Facebook Messenger, no email, no smoke signals, no carrier pigeons, no tap dancing, what was it called? When they used to come to your door and sing telegram, singing telegram, nothing like that. No Morse code. So 181 days without a response. We will continue to monitor this, and tomorrow is a Muncie City Council meeting. I will, of course, yet again be bringing this up to the counselor. I will be letting him know on the record yet again what a disappointment he is. And I will be bringing to him the amount of days it's been without correspondence. And who knows, maybe if I don't have anything, I will bring with me a stopwatch and I will make a spectacle for the entire 3 minutes. We'll see how I get to it. And depending on how long this show goes, we might go over the agenda again. We've already went over the Muncie City Council agenda, so I don't really feel a need to go through it again. You can go and watch that on last week's show. It's either episode it's either the episode on the from the 24th or the 25th. You can go back and find that last week. So yeah, you can catch that. But if we get time, we might go through that again. If not, just a quick reminder before we get into Madison County talk. Tomorrow is a Muncie City Council meeting. And that means it will be live streamed right here on this program. There is no public hearing, so the meeting will begin right at 7 p.m. You will be able to catch it here, live streamed, and you'll be able to question and comment and carry on. And then directly after the meeting, if the meeting is over in enough time to go live at 9 p.m., we will be live at our regular 9 p.m. time. If it goes later than that, we will be live at the first half hour after the first 30-minute window after we've released. So if we go live at if we get out at 9:15, we won't be live at 9:30. We would be live like at 9:45. So the first 30 minutes after we've been out, because that's about how long it takes me to get from the council meeting to my home. So just keep that in mind, but we will keep you guys abreast of that during the meeting if you're watching live and yada, yada, yada. So that's definitely something I would pay attention to for all of you from Muncie. Tomorrow's meeting. I do have a couple, I don't know how I'm going to do it because I do have a couple of things that I want to address. We're going to talk about the Dan camp. It'll be the first meeting since the whole Dan camp thing. And I want to let them know, my findings there and my disappointment, yada, yada, yada. So you'll want to watch that. No, that's not what. There's no public hearing. The public hearing normally starts at 6:35. If there is a public hearing is something that they have if they're going to try to, if there's an appropriation where they have to ask or raise for money or taxes or something like that. So there's just nothing like that. There will be public comment. The public comment is at the end of the meeting. What I'm saying is there's no public here. There's a difference between a council meeting and a public hearing. Public hearings are something that they might hold a couple of times, maybe once every 2 or 3 months if something arises. So that's that. All right. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, one last thing. I feel like it is important to make the announcement because it's something that we have been monitoring. One last thing that I want to say before we bring our guest on. And this is very, 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 very important. I want to share this here with you all because I know we've been talking about this here and I want to make sure that you guys are aware. Let me bring this forward. The announcement was made just a little bit ago. Donald Rainwater from the official Rainwater for Indiana Facebook page. We have reached our $100,000 fundraising goal. Our supporters have spoken with their words and their contributions. This campaign has tremendous momentum, and it's all because of each and every one of you who have contributed. Every donation of $1 or $2, $5, $10, $20, $24, $20.24, $100, $250, $500, $1,000, $2,299, or any other amount makes a difference. We will continue to need your ongoing financial support. Because look, let's face it, it's a political campaign, and in the world we live in, money talks. I cannot express my gratitude enough. This is Donald Rainwater. I am truly humbled by the number of contributions that they've received. This is not the end of the journey. It is simply a milestone that needed to be reached. We have a long way to go to reach victory for Hoosier citizens on November 5th, 2024. I encourage each of you to take the journey with me, meaning Rainwater, and volunteer to work the campaign at rainwaterforindiana.com/contact today. Again, I would like to thank each and every one of you for making this fundraising effort a success. Better government, not bigger government. And that's from Donald Rainwater himself. Goal reached, and all of you out there made it happen. All of you that donated, all of you that were sharing the word, spreading the message. Don thanks you. I personally thank you. I'm glad that we were able to help out. I know that he has a lot of friends. I know there are special anonymous people that have donated anonymously, and they are very valuable and important as well. And this is a very, very, very big thing. I'll be honest, going into this election, I was a little worried. I was a little worried that maybe the same type of scenario with a perfect storm would not be there to help catapult Rainwater to a mainstream stage in which basically he was in 2020. However, in the last couple of months, that is exactly what has happened. With the primary election of Michael Braun, with the Republican convention nominating Micah Beckwith, with the turmoil that whole situation has created, with the Democrats being who the Democrats are, and the Democrat candidate being who she is, and now her pick is, questionable in people's eyes, and they don't know what they're going to do there. We are once again in a perfect storm where the third party candidate has a bigger chance of being more available to Hoosiers. And he will now be appearing on both debates. Very strange situation. And I didn't catch this the first time he was talking about it. The debates are going to be night back to back, which is just almost ignorant. I don't understand why they're doing that. They're doing a debate on October 2nd, and then they're turning right around and doing a debate on October 3rd. So they're going to debate. Both debates are going to be back to back, one night after the next. There's good and bad and pluses and minuses and ups and downs. Don sees it all as a plus. I think it's all a plus. The number one thing is that he will be on both stages. Thank God. He will be in front of all Hoosier voters that are willing to take that in. And it is before early voting. So that is a key important thing. So keep that in mind. And I also want to make the announcement. We have talked to Micah Beckwith. Of course, we're going to keep plugging to talk with Mike Braun because it's important to talk to the actual governor candidate. We talked to his lieutenant governor. We've talked to Rainwater a couple times, and we're going to talk to him again. But, ladies and gentlemen, I will announce that on Thursday, July 18th, we will be having Jennifer McCormick join us. And Jennifer McCormick will be on the show. She will be here to talk to us. Of course, Jennifer is the Democratic candidate for governor. So this will be the first time. This will be the first time that we will be interviewing at least an important member of all three teams, if not maybe all three governor candidates, because we are going to be pushing for Braun as well. So just something to kind of put back in the back of your brain, maybe etch on your calendar, or if you don't want to remember, don't want to write it down, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, click that bell, and then you're set for life. All right, enough of that. Let's welcome to the show our contributing correspondent from Madison County. We'll wait for her to take her little drink here, and then we'll do this. Boom. Hello. Oh, you're muted. Oh, no. Speak so I can hear you.
Listen, Madison County elected officials would want me to be muted, but I'm not going to be.
How you doing? It's been a minute since you've been on.
I know.
Well, it's been a minute since we've been on together.
I feel like, I lost the election and you no longer had love for me.
No, we just things have been crazy, and
Delaware County's been a little nuts.
Yeah, isn't it all?
Well, and this is what I told Kate earlier. I've got my whisk out, and we're just going to whisk some stuff all up for everybody.
Yeah.
Because this cesspool over here in Madison County has only gotten thicker and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So we're excited.
I I watched a couple meetings like when they happened live, and I think I tuned in like right as you were getting yelled at and gavelled down last time.
It's not a
And
meeting unless I'm being gavelled.
yeah, right. Right. So yeah, you guys have been dealing with some crazy things. Matter of fact, I just kind of went generic tonight, and I mean, I just decided to say it what it was. I called the episode, "Hey, Madison County, things are still bad. Are you paying attention?" Because I feel like, obviously we went through the primary election. You didn't win your election.
Oh,
Doesn't
I
that seem
won.
like
Lisa Rinker won.
yeah,
Mikhail Vaughn won. Oh, we won.
yeah,
Believe
right.
me. The biggest
Doesn't
win of the night was, I know, and I'm not even gonna. I mean, who are you kidding? Oh, before I want to everybody, I just got to tell you this part. If anybody knows the license plate, 48R1.
Mhm.
It's an SUV. It's a taupe color. It's like a Traverse. They were at my mom's house today taking all kinds of photos of my house in Hamilton County, and it got all picked up by the neighbors. So if you're watching tonight and you think I'm not going to run your plates and figure out who you are, oh, you better believe I'm going to.
48R1.
Yes. So we're all over that. So I just kind of want to put that out there. And I always love to have documentation in the event that somebody comes and gets me, everybody can refer back and pull
Right.
that car. So, so anyways, I just kind of wanted to shut that out there real quick. Cause when I got back doing everybody's grocery shopping this afternoon, the neighbors and my moms and everybody, I got stopped that this car has been over here, and it was only my house that they were interested in.
Maybe it's the auditor. I feel like the auditor wouldn't be, or I was going to know the assessor. I was trying to think, not the auditor, the assessor, but it's all the same. I don't think the assessor would be 48R1. That seems rather interesting. So,
but the auditors is only off by one number.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. That's why I knew. I'm like, oh, I know that plate number. So I know where I'm headed tomorrow. So if you're at work, I'll be taking a picture of your car.
Right.
So anyways, but I wanted to get that out there. So, and here's the thing. I'm flattered. I'm flattered that so many people are interested in my life. It clearly tells me we're on the right path. Because if you're hunting me this much, and I lost and you're still hunting me. Perfect.
Yeah, dude, I can remember one time going to a Winchester City Council meeting, and at the time that when I lived in Winchester for 10 years, my ex-wife and my mother had a business together where it was called the Blankety Blanket, and they would make blankets and like quilts, and basically it was like if you have a kid that was in softball or soccer all through elementary, middle school and whatnot, they would take those shirts and make them into like a memory quilt. Yeah. Or if you have like a loved one that passes, and they take those person's clothing and make it into pillows and things for family members, that's what they would do. And so my mother would come over, and of course we had the grandkids there, so my mother would come over. My mother and stepfather live in Muncie, and she would drive over to Winchester. She was retired, and she would come over and spend like a couple of nights, spend the night, play with the kids. And her and my ex-wife was a nurse, and she'd get off work, and they would like be working all hours of the night and whatever. And so my mom was over in Winchester a lot, and she wrote a letter one time when we were all fighting, and one of the city councilors that was my arch nemesis, Missy Williams, she called me up to the front, and she was like, your mother wrote a letter, right? She's like, is she a citizen of Winchester? And I was like, well, I don't know why that's any of your business. She was at my table when she wrote that, and she said, doesn't she have a house exemption in Delaware County? And I'm like, look, if you're going this far into this, good on you, but how gross is that? And so, yeah, it's always special when they take that little extra time to go out of the way to, it's nice to live rent-free in people's heads.
Well, and so when the cops came over today, they said, must be a slow day for these people. I said, I know. So it's good to have friends in this area. So I'm excited, but just know that everybody is pretty aware in my neighborhoods, no matter which neighborhood you decide to visit me in my 5 houses.
It's 2024. Everybody has Ring doorbells.
Oh, yes.
You can't creep around like this anymore.
Yep. Yep, exactly. So, but with all that being said, I did have the pleasure of doing a little podcast with Cassie Jackson this morning that'll play on Tuesday night regarding her being thrown out of the council meeting for saying the words thank you and sir. So that was an interesting. I thought Diana Likens was going to break a hip running out the door trying to get a sheriff in there for somebody saying okay and thank you. I mean, certainly you're acknowledging the speaker, and this is a bad thing.
It always amazes me there, and that was when Russ and I got into it during the meeting where he wanted me to move my microphone. Yeah. The sheriff's standing at the back of the room. I'm standing back there kind of like shooting the shit with him. And they run out the commissioner's door room to go get like the sheriff's deputies up front. I'm like, dude, what? The sheriff's back here. If something was going on, don't you think that they would deal with that?
Well, like Sheriff Beeman standing at the podium, not even flinching. He's like, okay. I mean, it's just Katherine.
Right. It's so ridiculous. Those people, I watch that, and look, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm not the world's biggest fan of Cassie, but I was texting on there, tell her to sit down. She didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. They can't throw her out of there. Have her sit her ass down. And I matter of fact, I even messaged her and I said, go back in that room. And she didn't get it until the next day. And she was like, I wish I would have seen this.
Yeah.
And I was like, you did nothing wrong.
She was outside the window.
Yeah.
Dancing around. I was cracking up trying to keep a straight face. But, and then Nicole came up because she knew that, Cassie wasn't from Madison County. So she sat with her outside and they did some videos and things. So it was good.
Well, that's a good time. How long from the time she got kicked out was the meeting over?
Oh no, it was right at the beginning. She got kicked out right at the beginning. So she was outside for at least an hour or longer. I mean, that's the thing. We had just started.
Okay, that's crazy.
Madison County. I know there's lots of things that we can point out today. And I really hope that people are paying attention to what they're actually doing in Madison County, and you taxpayers are paying this. And I just want you to know that your silence, the fact that you're not coming to these meetings, you're not holding these people accountable.
No.
Well, you're going to be just as much part of the problem as everybody. Listen, I'm tired of listening to myself. I'm tired of hearing myself. I would love to have more company in those meetings for some help.
Well, because here's the thing. And it's the same issue that I run into. So people like to hear what you have to say. The citizens like to hear what you have to say. And the citizens empower you to be emboldened and to go and to speak your mind. And you do it for the citizens. And they want you to do that. And you do it for the people that know what's going on but can't go. The people that know what's going on but don't go. You're fighting for the people that have no clue what's going on because they just have no clue. And that's very much like what I do. And that's a good thing. And we get a lot of pats on the back and people's like, yeah, thank you, whatever. But at the same time, it's a blessing and a curse because it almost gets to the point where the people that we are fighting against, they're like, well, that's just Katherine. That's just Bilbrey. It don't matter. It's just Bilbrey. And so that's the part that's frustrating sometimes because we're out here and we're like, we need help. Like that's like when people call me and say, hey, will you come to Hancock County and help us with this? I'll go down there. I'll be vocal. But the point is to embolden the people down there because it doesn't matter. I could go to Madison County and raise a stink and fight and show my ass and make them throw me out or drag me out in handcuffs and sue them and all that stuff. But what really is powerful is when the citizens do it.
Well, and
And
that's the thing. Somebody got on there about Cassie Jackson and they're all over her because she's not from this county. Well, who cares what county she is? Wrong is wrong.
right.
Give it a rest. And if you think that she's making or she's embarrassing herself, well, I got news for you. She's fighting for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's so. I mean, I'm watching this thinking to myself, I can't even imagine, where's that person? Why aren't they over here speaking on behalf of the people? I mean, it's just unbelievable at the amount of money. Now, here's the thing. I told everybody, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to begin to show people my crystal ball because
Yeah.
it's very good.
Yeah.
So I said that they would wait until after the election because remember in January, February, they were asking for millions of dollars of new monies right out of the gate. We just started the year, they're already asking for it. Well, Ben Gale got on them and he's like, okay, you guys can't do this. This just coming out of the gate. Well, yeah, I was making them look bad. I mean, you guys just did a budget. So I said, even though Ben's making them throttle back right now, you just wait till after the election. Well, here we are. They had almost $1 million of new money requests that they're asking for.
Yeah.
I mean, it's off the chain. And then you're going to see how they dealt with the different departments. You're going to, I mean, it's really just unbelievable at how much money. Then we're going to show you the health department and how they're double dipping. And nobody seems to have a problem. I mean, and here's the thing. I'm gonna, Bethany does a great job. She is voting no, but she's about the only person voting no.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's really not going to get you anywhere.
Well, yeah. It's
Right?
it's 1 to 6 every time.
Yeah.
It's like
Jody
Ryan
York,
Webb.
she's doing a great job asking the tough questions.
Yeah.
But they're giving her answers that are not even appropriate. And just because they answered it, they get a yes? No. The way they're answering it should be an adamant no. So it's more than just asking the question. There's got to be some accountability with the questioning. So I mean, and of course, hell, the rest of them is just the swamp. I mean, we got about 2 people on there that are trying, but they know that they're really defeated. I mean, until we change gears here. What's really going to happen after watching Tuesday night's council meeting, I'm going to tell you, we're going to lose Ben Gill. We're going to lose Anthony Emery. So we're going to lose those 2. Those 2 are thick as thieves. They are able to control the crowd. They are able to finagle the words enough to get people to somewhat believe what they're saying is truthful, right? So they've had enough experience to do that. Well, you're going to bring on 3 brand new people. And these people are going to have questions. I mean, and these people are going to have questions that are going to be so innocent, it is going to expose the nightmare in Madison County. So I'm glad actually with some of I will say it appears that maybe the election was manipulated a little bit because be careful what you guys just wished for because what you just got is going to be real interesting.
Yeah.
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 So let's take a look at some of the video footage. I don't know if Kate has the May one where Rich Wine is up there first. That's the one I want to show first because I want to point out to the community there is a fund called Group Insurance.
Okay. Did you send it to the group?
Yeah, it's in the group one. It's the very first video. I sent it last night, but Ben Gale was not in attendance for this meeting, and so there was only 6 people.
Hold on here. I'm trying to figure out where.
You want me to resend? Got it.
Is this it?
Yep. So, at the beginning of this one, this is what's so funny. Usually they say, hey, the information has to be in. Well, at the beginning of this one, they talk about, well, this isn't on the agenda. That's not on the agenda, but we're still going to talk about it. Well, when the coroner's office would come, hell, if we weren't on the agenda, we weren't going to talk about it. So that was kind of interesting, but President Gale's not there.
Okay, so really quickly, hold on here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So Gail's not there.
So Emery's
And
going to take this over.
So we got Emery's the vice president. The council's like Delaware County. It's a 7-person Republican council. And so that's what we've got going on. And basically the two women on the video screen, right? So the lady in the red over here, the furthest to us on our right-hand side, and then the lady with the glasses that's looking at the piece of paper, that's Bethany, and then the woman looking down is Norick. And so those two are basically the best. They're the most open, transparent people on the council, and everyone else is kind of so-so.
Yeah, these are the only two who have done their homework when they come to the meeting.
Yeah. And so this meeting is from the May 14th, 2024 meeting. And we want to start playing this meeting where?
Well, I got something. Let's play at the 15-minute mark. And then we're going to go to the 23-minute mark. So let's just do a few seconds of the 15-minute and it'll re-jog.
Oh, it's quieted.
And here the 30 million will easily cover that. All the proceeds are then appropriated back to the construction of the new jail. So there is no new money. There is no extra money that's being spent. It is all coming from the bonds issued by the building corporation. So that is ordinance number 1. And the second is the pledge ordinance, which pledges the local income tax and if needed, the property tax to the lease rental payments. We never expect to actually get to the property tax. It's all expected to be paid from income tax. But the reason why you add that on there in addition is to get a better bond rating. A higher bond rating will result in a lower issuance cost or a lower interest cost. So it'll ultimately save the county some funds. But Baker Tilly has projections on what you've received historically, debt service costs, and there's sufficient coverage there to reasonably never expect to have to impose that. I know that was a lot. I just threw out, is there anything I can help better
It's the
explain?
same procedure every county does building a jail. It's just the same protocol that we go through. Nothing changes county to county. It's just the same thing everywhere, correct?
Yeah, it's 36 110 lease. We've done a dozen, maybe almost close to 2 dozen of these. All the counties that's how they do it. Leases are for outside the debt limit. So smaller deals. I think you guys did bonds in 2015, 17, and 19. So those can be done directly. But when you're dealing with bonds of this size, they all have to be really done through leases.
Okay, so just to make this real quick, what's happening here in this one is he needs these monies. This is why they're holding on. And Gardner lets it out of the bag in the June meeting. The reason why they're holding on to all this money and what they want those pots to be so big, the lit money, the general fund, is so that they can take a bigger bond out so they can pay for this $100 million jail. They don't have a clue how they're going to pay for this thing. And so this guy's in there going, well, we got to do this. He talks in such circles that this council is so confused, but they still vote in his favor. Well, here's the thing. They're trying to go after the city of Anderson right now to give them to pay over a larger amount so they can make those bank accounts so much bigger so they can get more and more money. These guys are borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. I'm telling you, they're going to bankrupt the county. So that's just that's how confusing that is. But go to the 23-minute mark where Rich Wine talks about how he needs money that's not been talked about before the budget. They didn't appropriate all this. And he's going to take it from the group insurance money.
Thank you. Any further? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're going to save adult probation for now. We'll move to Madison County Commissioners for group insurance. I believe we had, John, did you want to make a comment on that?
Now this is Commissioner Richwine. You know, he's got it
Yeah.
in the bag. You just come on up here. We want a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
Here, as well as Tom Ecker.
Come on down.
This is the same insurance that when we go through budget time, we're always waiting until the fall. Don't really have a vote on that. So by moving this ahead, we're getting ahead of that, and we'll be able to give you, quotes before we get to budget time. So we're just kind of moving this up. That's part of the deal. The other part of the deal, I can let Mark address, but we did get Mark. I'll just let you kind of give the history on this a little bit, so you guys can fully understand what's going on.
So your work comp coverage renews 5/1, and then your liability coverage expires 9/22. The current carrier that you've had for the last 4 years, they are getting out of the municipality business. So they've already sent us a non-renewal that they're not going to renew in September.
Now,
So
wait a
we
minute
will
here.
proactively
Hold that
have
right
some
there.
alternative quotes.
I haven't had
Okay.
time to research this company. Are
Yeah.
they truly getting out, or is it that we've had too many claims?
Yeah. That
This
would
has
be good
made
to
me
know.
really fishy on when I'm listening to this. And
Yeah,
here's
that
the
would
other
be
thing.
good to know.
This meeting is on May 14th. He just said on May 1 it's the renewal thing. So they should know all the numbers, and they still
Sure.
don't have it together.
Yeah. That's a good question. What's the name of the company?
I don't know. I mean, I have to
right,
research all
we'll
that.
go back and
But I
look.
was really intrigued by this. Wait till you hear what else this guy says.
And our goal was to have a renewal for your liability coverage to be very close to your work comp coverage. That way you'll have your numbers when it comes budget time. In the past, we've always kind of given you an estimate because of that late renewal. So we had to move it to another alternative this year. We've got 4 or 5 different quotes. What I brought the commissioners was a price that was a little more than your current term, but it's less than what your 2022 total costs were. Plus your retention, your deductibles are half compared to what they are right now. So I'm very confident in the quote that we received, and I think it would be a good idea to move forward and get it close to your work comp renewal date. So that way, when it comes to budget time, you know exactly a firm cost associated with that.
So I guess I'm a little confused because I'm looking at the line, you're wanting to take it out of our group insurance and you're wanting to put it into the 34,000 line, which this year we increased that by almost $40,000 from last year. So we got $600,000 in there, and you're telling me the $600,000 isn't going to cover what we're having to pay, okay?
It wasn't going to cover it at budget time when you didn't give us enough to cover what we told you at budget time. It was going
You asked for 600,000, we gave you 600,000.
Oh.
I'm looking at your thing here.
So they gave him 60,000 more than they asked for.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you asked for 600,000 at budget time for the 43 or 34,000 line. We gave you 600,000, which was an increase from the year before of almost 40,000. So
We asked for more than that. I don't know where those numbers came up with, but
that's my budget workbook.
the budget that I received from Rick had more than that, but it was less than we asked.
Of course, the
Either
auditor's
way,
missing.
this new
Yeah,
number
well, yeah,
is
right,
more
of
than
course.
last year. So
He
I'm
happened to
showing-
get up right before all of this,
And this is as of the end of April. It makes
which he
it-
does a lot.
We've got $469,999.75.
So they've got 469,000.
That will not be enough money for the rest of the year to pay.
Now, let me understand. Pause this for just a minute. Let me understand this. So you have $600,000. We're at the halfway point. You still have a $469,000. You haven't even used half the money, and this isn't going to be enough to get you to the end of the year. Because here's what they do. Anything that they're overspending on and we don't catch, they're taking it out of this group insurance because there's no way that they're going to say, hey, we can't cover insurance for the people.
Sure.
And this is the same thing the health department did in the June meeting. It's a culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this money, I think, will get us paid the new insurance company, which is more money. it was last year, up to the end of the year.
Is this the same one you switched to?
We haven't switched in a long time, so this is a brand new switch out of necessity because we were
4 years.
no longer going to cover municipalities. We had another quote with another company that we were negotiating with, and during that negotiations, they just said, yeah, we're not gonna mess with you either. And
We're not going to mess with you.
so
Why is
Mark's
that?
Back at it. Mark's been working with this for a long time, trying to get us the best quote, and an overall coverage that he could get. It's certainly different. There's things about this that, in my opinion, are better, and there's things about it that I don't like as well. With the initial overall cost, it's very, very similar to where we would have been.
So I guess my next question, John, is this gonna improve the plan a little bit with the coverage for employees? Or
I'll
you
let
say
Mark-
kind of, okay.
Yes,
Well-
it definitely does. The retention, your deductible will be half of what it is currently. And I think the numbers that you're getting confused with, that was just the liability. We're talking here the total program, your work comp spend and your liability property spend. So
this should be a
Well, I'm
little,
just looking at where he's taking it from and where he's transferring it to. That's all I'm looking
Right.
at. Because if he's putting it in a different line item, like, I know he's got liability insurance retainage, is that also part of that? Yes? I mean, I'm asking, I don't know.
well, we're only talking about the 34.
They don't know.
They don't know.
So you're not talking about the liability insurance issue.
Right.
You're talking about the 34,000.
Right, that's where we pay that out.
Okay.
And we have, bottom line is we got a $45,000 balance in there, and that's not gonna be enough for the rest of the year. I can tell you that right now. So, the good thing is too, during budget times, we will have the new number instead of estimating like we've done since I've been here. So, this will be a lot better for us for budgeting. We'll be able to give you a real number versus, what we think the increase will be. So that's an advantage too.
So I know I've harped on this before about taking money out of the group insurance fund because I just think that needs to stay in the insurance. So my question is, if at the end of the year if we do agree to transfer this today, and we don't use it all, can that money go back into the group insurance fund?
Well, that'd be
It could certainly be moved back over there. I don't think that that's going to be the case. We're going to use all that for the premium. And we're doing well again in group health insurance. So it's a good place to transfer from. At the moment, we're going to have quite a bit left over. That's good news. At that point in time, at the end of the year, we can decide whether or not together that should go into the reserve account, or which we made healthy last year, if you remember at the end of the year. But we could make it even healthier, or we could roll it back into the general fund and do other things.
I can't stand him.
No, because he's a liar. He's
Yeah.
sitting here manipulating the whole thing. Well, we can, all three of these men are clueless. They're up there talking about something. They have no idea what they're doing. Now listen to this carefully.
Make a motion to approve.
second.
A motion and a second to approve as presented. Any further questions or comments, discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
No.
Here it comes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
So did you just hear that? At
What?
the 3110 mark, that's Rich Wine, and he doesn't know my camera's on. And he says, I guess we don't want to insure the county.
Make a motion to approve.
It's at the
Go back
31
and play that. Go back and
31
play that
and
again
10
and see if I
seconds.
can hear that again. The third to what?
31 and 10 seconds.
Thank you. I believe you presented the.
I heard it.
Yeah, I guess we don't want to insure the county. It's not that we don't want to insure the county. You keep screwing up. And Lisa Rinker, she just had a comment, like she just said, that just says it all. Other people do not even want to mess with our county. You think Henry County's bad? Madison County, Rich Wine, they have put us in such a nightmare with lawsuits. Look at that. We're not going to mess with you either. That answered your question about how the other companies are not doing municipalities. That's the thing. Nobody wants to mess with Madison County. These guys have paid out the yin yang.
Yeah.
You know, and then, Rich Wine's like a spoiled brat. Well, I didn't get what I wanted. I don't have enough money. $600,000 isn't enough money. Yeah,
Well,
$600,000 isn't enough money to cover up your screw ups.
Didn't they vote? So they didn't vote for what he wanted?
Oh, they gave it to him.
I thought they did. So he's just saying that stupid shit just because she voted no?
Well, you made him stand up there and justify himself.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
This should have been from the minute he stood up there. They just should have voted and been done with it. Why should he have to explain himself to us peons or to these people sitting in front of him?
Yeah.
Why should there be checks and balances? He's the king, isn't he? So anyways, so again, that wasn't before the budget. He didn't bring it up there, but he got what he was asking for. So that's the importance of that, as you'll see later on. So let's go to the 37 and 31 mark.
Council, I think there's an explanation maybe in your packet, but Chesterfield had, I think it was 13 cases with money that sat there past the time frame. State of Indiana nor the town of Chesterfield had requested those funds. At that time, those funds have to be turned over to the county, and Chesterfield's asking for that money to go back into for the public safety needs. It's 3,200 and change, I think.
33,8212.
So now Chesterfield didn't use the money, so they have to put the money back into the general fund. So, and the thing is Andrew Hanna's the one that caught it, the chief deputy prosecutor, and he says, you guys can't keep this money. It's got to go back. So we're starting to get some headway. Then you go on to the 43-minute mark.
Yeah, do this when we're because there's such a discrepancy between the volume for it's the same thing as Henry County. Pause this real quick. And so it's the same thing with them. So why don't we do this so the people can hear this? They've got to turn it up really loud. We'll have them turn it up. Then when you want Kate to pause, hold your finger up so she can pause, but give everybody a second.
Okay.
And then so then they can turn back down so we don't blow their eardrums out.
Okay.
Okay, you can go ahead and turn it up, people.
This is a person from the community, Dave Sargent, and he's asking them about this money that they're putting back into the general fund.
Okay.
There's things in the works right now to try to settle that. I guess with it being in the commissioner's hands right now, I don't know that I want to interject myself, or I don't think the council.
That was just suggesting for something for the council to consider, because that is an issue that you're going to be facing. I'm not sure the politics on that, but that was just
that actually crossed my mind at one point as well. So
okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right. Let's do adult probation at this time. Carl, if you want to come on up. Because Rick, is this one that we did not have a salary ordinance for that passed?
Yes, that's one we got today.
Yeah, the transfer, but I'm saying if we take action on this one, it would require a salary ordinance, right? And we do not have that, correct? Okay. Okay, Carl, I'll open the floor to you and let you kind of give a brief description here of what you're trying to accomplish.
I appreciate that. Carl Chambers, Director of Adult Probation. This request is for a 5% increase for all non-POs. So I've got 5 support staff that every so often leaves for higher paying jobs, sometimes to courts, sometimes to private sector, things of that nature. So it was my request in the initial budget hearings last year for 10% for these 5 people. Obviously granted the 5. We have Trex funds, which is the Indiana Department of Revenue. When we send debts for clients who owe us money, it goes to the state. They in turn collect that on our behalf. As of right now, we have about $29,000 due to us this year.
We also still take in office payments for those debts, which I believe is at 5,100 currently. So that is the subset of funds I would use to pay for these raises.
Carl, how low are they right now?
I'm sorry.
How low is the secretary to move that over? Are you keeping competitive pay for
But
the?
that's the attempt, is try to keep it
Yeah, I see.
competitive
I
with the
mean, does
courts.
that keep it up with that?
Well, no, I mean, again, it gets them up a little bit. So it's at 35, 36, 40, and 40 annually, and this would bring them up to 37, 38, 42, 42, and the office manager.
We're still pretty low though.
Yes,
Thank
comparatively, yes, but again, that's why I think it's modest, but reasonable as well.
Yeah, I think
May I ask a question? So you mentioned the truck fund would take care of this for the remainder of the year.
So every time, every month, they come and ask for raises. Listen, I'm not saying that this county doesn't need raises. We are one of the lowest paid counties. Here's the deal. We have an annual budget money for salaries. They need to get these people up to par, and this needs to stop, that every month somebody is asking for a raise for one of their people or their departments. I don't disagree that they are underfunded and they are not being paid appropriately, but this every month. So Bethany goes on in this one and she says, so your people are going to actually have a 10% raise because we gave a 5% across the board. Now you're adding another 5%. Well, we keep losing people. Well, this is the argument every month for the last 4 years. Somebody needs to sit down and get an average of all these salaries and just fix all this stuff. So that kind of is what this is about. And they kind of talk, but I just want to show that it's at every meeting. So let's go on and talk about, we're just going to go ahead and switch gears in this meeting. We're going to talk about how Beeman starts to lay the foundation of that he's going to need the money, which will roll us into the June. So if we go to the 55 and 34 seconds mark.
Go to 55. Okay.
55 and 34 seconds.
Play that when you're ready to play that. I'll be right back. But
Okay.
Go ahead and play it. I'm here.
That this should, if you choose to change, that this should decrease ambulance runs and maybe one or two other things. Is it possible, if you decide to go that route, that you transfer some money out of those lines so it wouldn't be such a big?
I hope so. One of the big things, especially for over there at the MCCC and Work Release Center, is chest pains complaint. And in this new process with our 24-hour medical care at the jail, we will triage the situation after you do law enforcement work, correctional work long enough, so you can clearly see if someone's in distress and needs immediate ambulatory care to the hospital. We will triage them at the jail because we will purchase equipment to EKG machine, say, yes, this person is in distress, as opposed to the $300 cost for the ambulance ride to the hospital. And, MCCC and Work Release has several a day go out over there. We've had 4 a day at the jail go out. So we're hoping to see a decrease in that cost. And this new company has their own pharmacy. So we're hoping to see a decrease in that as well.
Okay, so if this needs to wait until, I completely understand. I know it's just your public comment, but it seems more like I apologize for my ignorance on this. I obviously have not researched it as extensively as you have, but it almost seems like a subleaser, if you will. To look on their website, like the Facebook site, they're constantly asking for, hey, if you live in Putnam County and you're a nurse practitioner and you want a different job, come with us and we will service this jail. So my worry is that, you're counting on the daily care, the hourly care.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? Is it in the contract then that if they can't fulfill that position, since it is kind of a sub-lease, and are they the ones that hire these people?
Yes, they are aggressively hiring any staff. We've got a list of staff that previously worked at our jail, and they're coming back to work for this company. This company has just taken over Hamilton County. They've taken over Hendricks County, and us, and their negotiations with other surrounding counties. They will, and if someone was calling sick and they can't cover it from another facility, then they will fly a person to our location to cover that shift
At no additional cost.
at no additional cost.
I haven't gotten to the whole contract yet.
Yeah, there's schedules there, what our coverage is and what the Schedule B will the coverage is for MCCC and the Juvenile Center.
So then, I can't remember, it's been a bit since I looked at your budget, but did we have a line item for an employee that was the nurse that was at the jail before?
We've got 3 line items to deal with. The cost of the jail and medical. We got the medical services line, which was for this year was $940,000 and something. Then we have a medicine line, and we got a medical. What's the other one?
That's okay. So will
Medical services line.
So will those 3 then, the monies that are in those, will that be transferred to a different line item to cover the cost of this?
Well, probably not, because on the medicine line, this company has what they call a cost pool, which you'll see in the contract.
Okay, like
So-
copay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's where we want to put that, because that figures on the contract's $100,000, and that's what we budgeted for this year's $100,000. So we only got 7 months left, because in the correctional medical world, apparently they bill in advance of their services as opposed to in arrears of their services. So the first payment will be due in June when they take over the contract.
So, okay, so I understand that with the cost of the prescriptions and stuff, but then the other 2 line items that you have budgeted, will any of those funds be able to go towards the cost of the contract?
I think so, because the medical services, like for the dentist, they offer a dental service as well, which we hope to see a reduction in there, because I think we've just paid out, I don't know if I got the right sheet with me, but, they paid out thousands of dollars, $2,000 for dental care, just for last month because it's a per diem basis and things like that, so.
So now, this new company, though, they'll take care of the dental, and there's not a copay on that?
I don't believe so. It'd be in the schedule of services that's in that Schedule A for us, but it's all, it goes that cost pool. So, from the reviews of the other counties that's entered in contracts with this company, they've been pleased with it, and there has been some reduction in cost, and there's certainly been an improvement in care.
And this is maybe a common sense question, perhaps naive. Any way to get any of those co-pays out of the prisoners?
Well, yes, if they have insurance, they do go back and try to attach that. We go back and try to get the pay back out of those. Some of them, insurance allowances we do get some money back on that. But clearly, our population just doesn't have much for medical coverage.
And the state government doesn't
Right.
pay anything.
Yeah, once they go incarceration, then they stop their benefits and things. So
Are
just
you presenting that next month?
yes, we'll have a harder numbers, but I think to get out the rest of the year with the money we have left in our medical services line, which you already paid for June, we showed $542,636 left. We already made a monthly payment for June of $78,000, so we will try to claw that back. I'm sure there'll be some closeout costs to saying that, to close out any bills we have left with the former company. So we'll have some of that back, but I still leaves us in the $220,000 range to get us through the year. But depending on how much that 78,000 comes back, or we won't know that until after we've switched companies and done final billing.
I got one more question for you, because now this is gonna be covering, MCCC and work release. So when somebody has an incident over at work release, will the medical staff go over to work release to check on them?
They will
or-
assist in that. Their work release is not specific in the contract. It's MCCC and Juvenile Center, but they have agreed to assist with some triage and some assessments of those over there and help with medication, because medication is a big thing. And
'cause I know we don't have anybody right now that's qualified to really pass out meds, so they'll do that?
they will assist. They don't want to get caught up into, because they're getting 40 hours a week between the two sides, the MCCC Center and Juvenile. And then Mackenzie and David will be.
You want to pause it?
Now, what?
Okay.
you got nobody medical guiding any of this.
Yeah, that's the
Okay,
number one problem.
this is insane.
Beeman's doing the best he can, but I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
There are QMAs, all right? They're qualified medication aid people that can pass meds to take off some of this stress of the medication passes, right? Those people range anywhere from $12 to $20 an hour, depending on where they're at. Okay. Depending on what kind of meds we're passing, would depend on probably how much I would end up paying them. If these people actually brought somebody to the table that was negotiating contracts, who knew exactly what you guys were looking for, they probably would be able to save a lot more money. But
Sure.
you know, that would take swallowing a little bit of pride and saying, we have somebody who sits in this audience day in and day out. And like Beeman said, you know, these guys are like, well, can't you get their copays? People, when you're incarcerated, all these benefits go away. I mean,
Yeah,
and I
right.
don't know about you, but most of these people are going to be pretty hard to find their copays. They're not walking around with $20 to make their copay at the jail. I mean,
Right.
I listen to this and I'm just shaking my head over all of this. I don't know what minute mark we're at with this one.
Well, the bottom line is when the problem is when everyone plays like they are the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to admit that maybe they're in over their head.
Yeah, and here's the thing. How would these people even know? They're not medical people, and they're not bringing anybody who has any medical knowledge to the table. And you know what? Shame on all of them. I mean, you have a person who's got the knowledge, who's run a successful business, who can say, we can do a lot of things a lot better here. You know, I was glad to hear Beeman finally say, well, we're going to get an EKG machine and run those. But, you know, those aren't quick. That's going to tie up some
Yeah.
personnel to run those EKGs. Then
Yeah.
the prisoner's going to have to cooperate and lay there. And
Yeah,
if they
right.
don't and they move at all, it won't even give you a good reading.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things here that I'm listening to. But at the end of the day, he's asking for about 220,000 at this meeting, or the one in May. And
Okay.
when he comes in June, he ends up saying he only needs 146,000. So he did a really good job at that. So that kind of ends this meeting. He laid the foundation, and it will roll us into the June meeting.
Okay. I'm
And then-
happy to hear that, Alva.
What'd he say?
I just fixed all my medical bills and prescriptions costs. I signed up for my veterans benefits, and VA will take care of me from now on. Thank you, taxpayers.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you for your service, Alva.
yeah, for those who have served, if you put in the work, and it's a lot of work to get those benefits, but if you get that rolling, it really will, it will really help. I'm just reading what you just wrote. But yes, thank you, Alva, for your service. My dad served, my brother served, and we wouldn't be here without all of you giving of your time for the country. So if we go to the June meeting, I kind of want to pay attention to the 2-minute and 40-second mark at first.
A significant amount of new money requests from the general fund and the public safety fund tonight. And I would just remind this council that in our budget process for our 2024 budget, we did appropriate pretty much every bit of revenue that that was forecasted for us to bring in this year. So we do just need to be careful to make sure that we don't get ourselves into an issue later in the year. With that, we move on to the auditor's report.
Good evening, council. I wanted to go over some numbers with you this evening. Some of this is repeat from previous months and along with updates. So again, we're just reviewing where our debt was back in 17 and where we are in 2024. Here's your general fund budgets over the last several years. If you remember back in we tightened our belt in around 21. We were down to a budget of about $37 million. And we're setting at $43.5 million this year's budget. Moving forward, you can also see the cash balance following those trends. When things were tight, our cash balance was low. We had a couple spikes there. And then in 23, our cash balance down. We've been able to take some interest income, move to the rainy day fund over a period of time. And we need to end our year at $10 to $10.5 million, which is what we're shooting for. Keeping in mind, that's what it takes to carry yourself from tax draw to tax draw. So as you appropriate money, your cash balance is going to shrink, and it takes 10 million minimum. 10.5 is a comfortable number in order to make it to the next tax draw. We can move on. Okay, this is just a repeat of where we were in 2021 with a balance of $36,363 again in the rainy day fund. We are setting at $13,658,000 today, a $13 million turnaround. And I'll repeat it again, and we'll brag constantly about the treasurer and the investments he's made over the last few years, and has helped us be able to maintain that. If you keep it with that rainy day fund, I don't know if that's on a further slide, but at that number over the next 7 months, the county will earn for the taxpayers $680,000 in interest over a 12-month period based on the rates we're getting today. Let's move forward. Okay, here's your general. That's all right. There's your general fund interest over the last few years, and you also see that's trended. And 23 was a good year, but in the 7 year and 22 wasn't bad. But in the previous 5 years, we took a 7-year average and gave you a piece of that.
Okay, I got to say this, and I'm trying not to cuss and swear, but he's a moron.
Yeah.
Okay. And I had to put the camera on him to say, is this really coming out of his mouth? Now let's take a look. Who was our auditor in 2017? Gardner. Who was it in 2018? Gardner. Who was it in 2019? Gardner. Who was it in 2020? Gardner. Okay. And where were we at? We were barely getting by. But all of a sudden, we tightened our belt. Did you tighten your belt, Rick? Or did you get grant money from COVID?
Right.
Did you get all kinds of money from the state? And you want to tell me that you tightened your belt? No, you got government handout.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that's keeping you afloat right now, because under your leadership and lack thereof, we were in the tank. Okay.
City of Muncie has done the same thing.
Yeah. In 22, what'd you do? You raised the local income taxes. Only 3 counties in the state increased taxes during COVID. One of the 3, Madison County. And these people want to tell me, and they want to sit up there and they want to gloat and they want to tell the community how great we're doing. No, you got bailed out and you're trying to use this like you've done something phenomenal. You people can't even manage your own bank accounts, let alone try to do this. And then the icing on the cake is to say that they're making about $600,000 a year in interest. Well, if you're making that much in interest, then Beeman should have not had one problem getting the $140,000 he needed to cover the rest of his medical. So I'm sitting here and you wonder why I get gavelled. It's because I'm Dr. Obvious. I'm actually saying, and here's the thing. Look at these 3 on the end, or these 4. Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, right.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I understand that they are taking ARPA money and they're dumping it into the rainy day fund and they're funneling it all around. But I'm going to tell you, you're going to get an audit, and it is against the law for them to use this money on a jail project. That's exactly what they're doing. And so, I hope people are paying attention to just how idiotic this really is. So here's the thing. They've got $13.6 million in the rainy day fund. They only need 10.5 to be comfortable. And what do you think? They're going to give it to every last department they can possibly give it to rather than do something wisely with this money. And you're going to see how they pretty much pissed away over $500,000 at this meeting. Because why? Because the leadership in these other departments needs an overhaul.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing.
So we kind of listened to him talk about all that.
Okay.
So if we go to, I found this interesting. If we go to the 9-minute and 8-second mark, they talk about, and then Kate, what I'll do is I'll just start putting the timestamps when I tell you to stop, just to move on to the next one. They're going to send every one of their advocates to a seminar. What happens if someone needs an advocate during that week? I have never seen departments empty an entire department to go to seminars. Listen to this.
What is this? Who is this?
This is the advocates department for victim advocates.
Okay.
This is nuts.
Hosted by the National Training Institute in Portland, Oregon on September 18th through 20th. It's kind of a change to what we originally anticipated because in the time it took me to move the money within the grants and come here tonight, the conference we originally planned to attend and we normally attend closed. It was filled. And so I do have a copy of the agenda if you're interested at all. It's approximately $2,000 per person, but it is grant funded.
How many are going on that?
6.
Just have all 6?
Mm-hmm.
So what's your plan for victim advocates?
Sure. We usually, so our common practice is to plan in advance and prepare in advance. The prosecutors do an excellent job of serving in our place if needed. If there's trials or anything that would require us to stay back, we would stay back and just not register. But as of now, we're clear for those dates.
Is there a motion? Motion to approve by Councilman Emery. Second by Councilwoman Likens. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay, that passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have 2 individuals.
Fund 1159, transferring 50,000 from group insurance to the deputy administrator, environmental supervisor. That salary was approved last year. I'm not sure how or why that 2,000 didn't make it over for this year, but we're just transferring that to cover for the end of the year. So a couple other things about these transfers. I presented to the personnel committee in April. And then I asked that my requests be heard at the June council meeting. Do you remember saying that? Okay. So some of these transfers are in regard to that. And I also sent you this document the other day regarding this personnel request. So that staff nurse is an increase of $2,000 just because she's added some supervisory responsibilities and roles. So that's the transfer to cover her additional salary. The $1,000 in office supplies, the 17.5 is in operational supplies. This is for fuel and also vaccine. We purchase vaccine that is given to those families who are insured. We do bill insurance, but we don't, we do bill insurance. However, our vaccine that's given to us by the state, we can only vaccinate those kids who are underinsured or uninsured. So we need to transfer money there to purchase more vaccine as we're vaccinating more kids. The professional services, $1,000, printing and advertising, $2,000, repairs and maintenance, $12,000. This is for maintenance on our vehicles and our mobile unit, and also the generators that we service or we have in our disposal. And then 12.5 in machinery and equipment. We need to buy new computers, IT, so we need to update all of our computers, so that will get us started on staff computers. So that's that transfer. Do you want me to go through the rest of them? Okay. And then the Health First Indiana Fund, 1161, group insurance, $3,390 to machinery and equipment. This actually was for hazmat. They purchased some equipment and we have allowed them $25,000. So we needed to transfer from group insurance to machinery and equipment to pay out for that equipment out of that line. And then the last one, COVID safety compliance. This money is already appropriated, but with the creation of those 2 positions, we needed to establish 2 lines for them.
I have a question, Stephanie.
Mhm.
So you're on the first 2 that you were talking to us about taking it from group insurance.
Yes.
So is there plenty in the group insurance to be able to do that?
Yes.
I mean, I assume there is, but I mean.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I got that figure for you because I thought you might ask. At the end of the year, we will still have a little over 1 package worth, so about $35,000 after this transfer and after we pay out all of the insurance for the rest of the year.
Is there a motion?
Presented.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Councilman Emery. Second by Councilman Steele. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
All right, that passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next transfer, the prosecutor.
My transfers stem from some change in staffing and the way that the staff members are paid. We,
Okay.
Okay, so the council's to blame. I'm just going to say it right here. You keep giving these people all this group insurance money.
Sure.
They all keep coming after it.
Sure.
Clearly, there's a huge problem here. So what the commissioners do, what Mellinger's doing, they are overinflating their budget. And then when they get into a hole, they have to get it out. What's interesting is that on this same night, IT is asking for new computers. They said the health department has their money to cover that. What'd she just say? I need money for all new computers. And this is the thing. If you're paying attention to this whole meeting, it's like unbelievable to what these people are doing. So let's go to the 17 minute and 44 second mark where the sheriff begins with his stuff.
It's just like one big contradiction after the next.
Yeah.
The new money, miscellaneous funds. The first thing I'm seeing here on the agenda is the sheriff, 1170. Oh, that was part of the prosecutor's transfer. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
My bad.
Okay, Sheriff, your public safety fund, new money request.
Evening, Council. John Beeman, Madison County Sheriff. The first one
Linda.
down there, the retirement. That's once the county fully funded the sheriff's pension. There's still a fluctuating number that comes across every year. And this adjustment brings it up to the proper amount that needs to be paid for this year for the retirement for the pension.
Okay.
So John, then on our sheriff, sorry, on the amount that we have budgeted, which I think was like 400 and some thousand, right?
Right.
So do we need to increase that this year to include the 25?
That change.
Second by Councilman Steele. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that passes. Next year.
Right, Stumblefoot.
380.
Right, the medical services. As the council's aware, we've been since last
Here
year
it goes.
searching for a new medical service provider for the jail, CCC, and the juvenile center. We were having issues with the current provider or former provider, and we felt it was putting the county in a position of some liability due to services deteriorating, things like that. So we come upon a contract, which I've sent out to everybody, commissioners included, to this new service where we will now go to 24-hour care in the jail. The MCCC center will have their own medical that will share with the juvenile center. So I want to make an oral motion to change my request because we also, in the medical world, apparently you pay in advance of the month of the services instead of arrears. So we'd already paid our former provider $78,000. So my new request for medical services would be $142,301 for the remainder of the year.
And that's
Yes, sir. $142,301.
Does that include January?
Say again?
Does that include January? You took
No,
off
no,
January,
no.
took January off.
Right, because I spoke with the CEO. He said, let's get through this calendar year, contract year, and then we'll do the budget process for January forward in 2025.
So is that gonna put us, so next year in our pay?
We'll have to add that
we're
other
gonna
month.
Add an extra
Yes,
pay.
yes,
So it'll be
yes.
13 instead of 12.
Right, so I knew we, being at the end of this year, I wanted to, work with what we could with the funds within the county to minimize what we're going to have to pay this year.
We have plenty. We just saw 36 million.
So out of curiosity,
We saw 36
I'm sure you
million.
guys have had
We got
some
plenty of money.
discussion. So the 13,333,
Here
which
comes.
is MCCC and the juvenile center, are they gonna be taking a part of that cost, or is it just still gonna be coming out of?
I think for simplicity, we was going to just bill or have the one line through the sheriff's department. The company bills the one line or one amount, and that's covering those two entities.
All right, I had a couple questions about this contract. So, let me get this. So on this cost pool services, those are all things that we have to still pay for, correct?
Right.
And that's gonna come out of the line item that you have, I forget how much you have in that line item.
It's 100,000, I think was what was initially
Yeah, okay,
budgeted,
yeah.
right? And that's the amount. And that's why we picked that line, 'cause it's the same figure that we already budget for now. We're budgeted in 2024.
And we think that, I mean, do they have an idea of what it's gonna cost for the cost pool portion? Is that gonna be, do they think that's gonna be, do you guys think it's gonna be adequate, or?
In conversations with them and based on their 35 jails they have, that is a sufficient number to get us through the year.
And then, so they cover mental health, what does that mean exactly?
There's so many hours per week that they'll allow mental health individuals for inmates within the jail to, they get screened for mental health. Everybody gets that screening. And then we also have Aspire under a grant from DOC to do what we can as far as mental health treatment while in the facilities.
And then what is the third party provider claim repricing? What is that?
That's where they go, what they call scrubbing the bill. They try to find insurance companies, HIP, Indiana HIP. They try to go through other entities to claw back some of that money that we're spending.
Before they bill you on it?
Yes.
Sheriff, did
Yes.
you say, how long did you say you've been having trouble, would you say, with that?
Well, since my term has started, and we've had issues. One of the bigger things is what the former company has, what they call medically trained personnel. Their definition of medically trained personnel was no licensure whatsoever in the state of Indiana for medical treatment. And that's who was there after 4 o'clock.
Wow, it's appalling.
Have we ever considered, and I don't know, maybe this.
Here it comes.
But have we ever considered hiring our own medical staff instead of going to a company?
That's the way it used to be done in the county jails. I don't know what what precipitated the shift across the state, but I don't know that any jail or sheriff's department that has on-site medical personnel. Maybe the larger ones do, but the smaller counties all contracted out. But the monies, the contract's looking at, I would certainly think we could hire a doctor and nursing staff to cover 24-hour care in those same facilities for that money. But that could be a question we could look at, because the contract only goes for 1 year. So once we get past that year, we can certainly look at other options.
I guess the reason I asked that is I felt like if we had known, so if you were having issues, is there a reason that you didn't bring it up at budget time?
There wasn't budget, it wasn't an issue with
Who
budget.
asked that?
It was an issue with medical care
Right.
and responsiveness from that company.
Okay, I was
Right, yeah.
because it's such an, it's an increase.
It's an increase because under the old contract, MCCC and Juvenile Center were not in a contract for care. They were taking hours out of the sheriff's department's contract to provide that care. So we were losing coverage for those facilities to have healthcare coverage.
Well, and I know it's been a problem for a while with MCCC with prescriptions and different things like that. We've had some communication about that because there's nobody there to do that. And this will allow for that, correct?
Yes, there's a nurse there through the day. They split the time between the two facilities in the 40 hours per week for that.
Tough decision, guys, really, for the kids. Tough decision. 36 million. To split up.
Rick, do you know what the available funds are in public safety right now?
Well, there's $3.8 million in there as of today.
Oh, I said 36. There is.
What's not been allocated?
It was, everything was allocated for the year last year. Keeping in mind that you have to have bond coverage of 125%. For your jail bond. And the coverage is coming from that other 0.15. Remember when the rate increased to 0.3, and that difference was the bond coverage.
So the extras, when I was asking you earlier tonight about additional funding that with the supplemental income that we got, that was not budgeted, correct? The $898,000. So that would be additional funds that would be in there that we didn't anticipate necessarily.
You have a balance in there, additional funds, yes, that's not guaranteed money.
But we have other areas of public safety as well, I think that we have to consider, you know.
Oh, gosh.
We earmarked a huge portion of that budget to the department.
Until you have a malpractice case.
But I guess it worries me, if we were having trouble earlier, I would love to, I guess, have known this at budget time, and maybe we could have possibly not done some things that we did, preparing for this. I guess it looks like the contract was canceled, and so now we're kind of in a situation, we've been put in a situation to where we're kind of back up to the wall, because
They were going to cancel the contract anyway.
Anyways.
I see that, but
They were
So that
getting
didn't
to
make
the
sense.
end of July.
end of July,
Right.
Gotta whip
So
around.
we could have continued on had we needed to
Oh,
and
yes.
say
through the end of
at least a
July,
couple months.
which would have given the council an opportunity to hear this prior to already being committed to this dollar amount. So, and I think that's the biggest issue.
Look at
I
them
have
snap
is
their head.
it's like, again,
Pause this for a
process,
second.
You're kind of moving backwards on it.
Now, he did talk about this in May.
Right. He did. Who is the attorney?
Ted Nolting.
Okay. Because normally it's Graham, right?
No. Ted always does the council meeting, the county council meeting. Graham does the commissioner meeting.
Okay. This Ted dude, I got to be honest. Do they work together?
Not really.
They're not. And Ted and Jeff aren't the same law firm.
No. I don't know where I don't know where Ted comes from.
I mean, Jeff, this
Somebody have
dude,
to Google it.
like all due respect, looked like they got him out of some back alley. And it's always like he's like, a night away from being homeless or a meth hit away from, I don't know. Just this dude is always so scroungy looking to me and just always just so unfriendly and like just such a, I don't know. Is he a good guy, bad guy? What's the deal?
Ted doesn't say
I don't know anything
anything
about him.
Yeah, Ted doesn't say anything. He only will speak when the council can't control me or they can't, but he always defends them. He'll never defend the community. He'll never do anything for the constituents. I mean, that's his job.
In fairness, yeah, he is their attorney.
Yeah,
So he's not the same thing. I'm always I always try my very hardest to belittle and downplay the just lives in general of the council attorneys for if they're shitty, because they aren't public servants. They're the only really kind of public, because they get paid by tax dollars, but they're not like public servants. They're there to be like a buffer for them. And so like, I don't like hearing from them. I don't like them talking. They're like, to me, they're it's like children. They need to sit there.
Yeah. Ted
Speaking
rarely
for-
interrupts. He rarely, unless they're really out of control. Ted kind of just, he only answers when he's asked to answer. He does not try to control the meeting. He's very good about that.
Yeah.
There's a Kowalski that oftentimes sits in for him, and I like Kowalski a lot. And he's the one that's gone over Robert's rules with these guys, but here comes
He's the one I know. I know him. And I
Kowalski.
know Jeff Graham personally.
Yeah.
And I've always got along with Graham in the past, but
And I get along with Jeff.
I don't like him per his role, but I like him I liked him as a person. I think he's done some damage to that, but whatever. Okay, I just needed to
So here comes the gavel, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, it's coming. This is good. Okay.
Yes, there needs to be an appropriation before a contract is signed. And so now the commissioners, I believe they approved the contract.
Right.
3 months?
Till the end of October, yes. This amount covers the last 2 months of the year.
Right. And so, it kind of puts us in a position of, we got to have medical coverage, but the county council didn't really have any real input or any consideration before we were put in a situation where
the council was notified last year. You all got emails about the process.
No,
the dollar figures
with an appropriation.
And you
that
also
means
available for
coming in an open public meeting to request an appropriation. Now the request for appropriation is coming after the change has already been made. After we're in a situation of what are we going to do for the last 2 months of the year to cover health insurance or health coverage for these inmates.
Your malpractice
And
is
so,
going to be worse.
excuse me.
No, your malpractice is going to be worse.
You're out of order.
I always
Please
am.
do not disrupt our meeting. So
He
as
did
I was
not
saying,
disrupt.
it just,
They always stumble over that.
it's just the process has gone in such a way that we're once again in a position of having to figure out how to pay for something.
For
after-
children, but that's okay.
Excuse me.
Kids.
We don't need any more discussion or input from the public, from the two of you. This is your warning.
Oh, thank you.
One more warning, you'll be asked to
Oh,
leave.
thank you, sir.
Please leave.
No.
You're done.
One more.
You're done.
one
You're
more.
being
That's
disrespectful.
Diane
You're
is so
disrupting.
ridiculous.
Oh, wow. This is all recorded. This is going to be exciting. So
Sheriff,
that's what
you have
happened.
one of your officers.
I'm happy to leave without the sheriff. Thank you, though. And I hope you do give this sheriff
Please
the
leave.
money for the children. Gosh, with 3.6 million, you can't decide? You guys are ridiculous. Sorry, Sheriff. Catherine, I'll chat with you later.
Okay.
She shouldn't have left. She should have made him drag her out.
Okay. So now that
He
we
whispered
all know
right
what's
there.
expected and how to conduct ourselves in a public meeting, we'll move on. So sorry about that, Sheriff. Well, at this point, are there any other questions for the sheriff? Is there a motion?
Well, I think the fact that we've got the $898,000 that we didn't anticipate, that could cover easily the $142,000 that he's asking. Is that what you're asking? I forget.
Yes, 142,301.
So is that, would you
Is
like
that
to make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion.
All right. So Councilwoman Norick makes a motion to approve.
Oh,
Is
sorry.
Councilwoman Likens, Councilwoman Norick just made a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second by Councilwoman Keller. So now would be the time for discussion amongst the council. I would
Pause
simply
this for a
say,
second.
Again, if there is this.
He was beat in the primary.
Emery was beat. Gail
Okay.
and Emery didn't run.
Okay, so Gail's done.
Yes, and so is Emery. And Emery's a state trooper, and I can't believe he's not voting in favor of this.
Yeah. Well, he knows.
Pathetic. I mean,
yeah.
I guess when Beeman buries him in the primary and whips him in the election, I guess Emery's got an axe to grind.
So what do you mean? Is he?
Beeman beat Emery for sheriff.
Okay. I didn't know Emery ran. I forgot about that.
And
I
and
forgot
by the
about
way,
that.
Emery came
That's
in
right.
third, and
Yeah.
there was 3 candidates, and he came in last place. Does that tell you?
Yeah.
Of course, Russ had to take control of the election this time because he couldn't have all of his people beat again.
Yeah, right.
So
Okay.
really, Emery should recuse himself from voting on
Yeah,
Beeman
sure.
because, you know, he obviously has an axe to grind with Beeman. I mean, when another cop can't do the right thing, that's pathetic.
Yeah.
These people have to have medical, you know, coverage, and it's sad. And Jody's right. There's enough money in there to cover him. And I'm sorry, did we pay attention when Commissioner Richwine was just up there in May? That wasn't thought of, and they have a new contract. Did they give him the money? Yeah, they gave him the money. So what's the problem here? I'll tell you what the problem here. Beeman's not part of the swamp. They're treating him the same way they treated us in the coroner's office because we weren't their pick.
Sure.
This is
Sure.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
just
Gail gets to be the
been so
tiebreaker
ridiculous.
on this one. It's pathetic how this Gail gets to be the tiebreaker on
Okay.
this. It's
Okay.
pathetic.
Non-recurring amount of money that we have right now. We just need to be willing to make some decisions at the next budget process, knowing that this expense, next year, the expense for jail medical will be
In the budget, yes.
Yeah, it will be in the budget, but it will be an increase greater than what we would be appropriating tonight, because it would be an increase for the entire year, not just 6 months or whatever the term may be. So, so that may mean that we have to make some cuts in other areas, and we just would need to be prepared to do that. Is there any further discussion?
Rick, did you say there's an additional 800,000 in public safety that was unaccounted for?
Yes, this supplemental net was distributed to all counties that were eligible for it in May, and the public safety fund received 800,000.
I just,
along with every other portion of the lit, they got their portion also.
I just want to point out and remind the council that we did pass a $43.5 million budget for the year. We've got several things now that have come up mid-year that were not only from the sheriff's department, from other departments that were not discussed at budget time. Some very large ticket items that were not discussed.
Yes, Kate.
They're hitting us. We have another one of those on the agenda tonight. Not to mention we have the dispatch center that we're still trying to figure out how we're going to fund. And that's going to be a recurring cost each and every year. That we're uncertain where that's going to come from. So I just want to remind everyone that we are really trending towards a dangerous area, in my opinion, on expenditures.
So the commissioners approved the contract through the end of October, is that correct?
I believe so,
So
yes.
is there money in the appropriation to pay that contract through the end of October?
Yes.
And then this 142 is for November and December only?
Yes, it's
Is that correct?
$109,042 per month.
Okay, so there was no spending without an appropriation?
No, it was all, we're utilizing funds that was already allocated for the medical services line.
Okay. But in October, there was no extra money. Right, but next year, the appropriation should only really be increased by this 142,000. No, because we'll have another month.
That extra month, right, because they pay in advance.
Right,
Well,
so like
and-
210.
And the per month cost of the contract is higher. So if we're paying for 12 months at the higher rate versus 6 months at
Yes.
the higher rate, it would be
We went from
significantly more.
$78,363.05 a month to $109,042.
But also we need to take into consideration with that over $13,000 is for MCCC and the juvenile center. That we really didn't have any decent coverage.
Right, and that's my point is if the council chooses to approve this tonight, then we just have to be prepared at the next budget meeting, knowing that we're using money that is not recurring revenue. So we would have to, we were able to make a lot of headway on some pay increases and things like that. But now what we're getting hit with, not just by the sheriff, but with other departments as well, is significant increases in appropriation requests for non-pay items. And so it kind of feels like everyone wanted the pay raises for their departments and got those, and then we'll just come back later when all the money's already appropriated and ask for more money. And the sheriff, I don't mean to make this situation the focus of that comment. Again, it's just a general comment as to what our meeting tonight entails is several different large requests.
Have they said
that
no
ideally
to
would have
anyone
come
else's
during the budget.
requests for additional?
I'm sure they haven't. Just
No.
like Delaware
And if I
County.
may I ask one more question?
Sure.
Thank you. And I think I asked this last month. I just want to make sure
Fucking
something hasn't
joke.
changed because I do know you have some urgent needs in your medical for the medicine. Since this new provider is supposed to have some savings in certain areas, you talked about ambulance runs, medicine.
Yes.
Again, looking at this, I'm sure this is a bad question, but is there a chance there could be a transfer somewhere? Do you have any other money that would be, that could be moved over to cover this since you?
No, that's part of my commitment to the council president when I come into office was a true budget with lines to where they need to be, and there was no hidden monies, there was no money to move around on lines. That's where we are.
But since you're gonna save on medicine,
I anticipate, yes, they have their own pharmacy, so I don't know how fast we'll realize
That's what
those
I'm getting
savings
at.
or
Okay.
or
Okay,
that.
that's fair. That's fair.
And we hope for substantial.
Yes.
But it's just a matter of.
But we do have the
when do we do
HIV
that?
individual in the
Right.
jail that's cost us a tremendous amount of money in our medicine line.
Can you tell us how long, are you allowed to say how long that's been costing us to come?
But most of this year, yes.
So we do have a motion to approve in a second. Is there any further discussion on this particular appropriation? Okay, we've been asked for a roll call vote, so we'll go ahead and do that.
Councilwoman Keller?
Yes.
Councilwoman Norton?
Yes.
Councilwoman Likens?
No.
Councilman Henry?
No.
Councilman Steele?
Yes.
Councilman Vaughn? President Gill?
I'm gonna say no tonight with the commitment that I want to work with you and see if we can find some other ways to help fund this, and so we could revisit this on.
What a bitch. So
just to explore.
No, we got time. I mean, we're funded till October.
We're through the
so
end of
that's
October, right? Yeah. So we're good there. So I appreciate you working with me between now and the August meeting, just to see if we can explore a few other options.
So
thank you.
let me tell you a couple things. Okay, these people are asking him to predict what the health is going to be like in the jail. He's not going to be able to do that. If
Well,
he
yeah,
gets
that's
he gets another HIV person, this could be another problem. The other thing is that what they might want to think about, and I'll talk to Beeman about this, but if they have an HIV person who's costing an astronomical amount of money in medicines, sometimes you can write the pharmaceutical companies and get these at a much discounted price because of their financial needs, which that's probably what they should be doing. But again, why would you ask the people in the galley who have actually work and do this stuff? Because I bet you they probably could get those antivirals for close to free.
Sure.
You know, and listening to this. And here's the thing. Ben Gale just denied a sheriff from running the medical division. Here we are again, just like in the coroner's office. You've got people who are not elected for those offices making decisions on major things. You know, he can't predict who's going to be sick. He can't predict when they're going to be sick. He can't predict if he's going to bring in all these HIV people or hepatitis C. What makes this even more disturbing, and I'm going to tell everybody, right next to that podium, within about 5 feet in that front row, sits Dr. Bill Vaness, who they just made the new health officer for the county. He is in his 80s now, but he used to be over the correctional facilities in the state. And never once did he step up there and say anything on their behalf of why they need this. Sitting right next to Dr. Vaness is Stephanie Mellinger, the health administrator. Not one time. And she's
who used to be, Yeah, who used to be was the wife of the former sheriff.
And
so she has an understanding of this.
Yeah, and she doesn't step up there. All these people are eventually going to be released out to the community. Wouldn't you think she would have some type of thought process of, we got to give them medical care here, because if they don't, we dump them out on the streets, then they become our problem. But not at any given time do they speak. So, it is what it is. But if we go to the June, or if we go to the 44-minute mark, this is where they call Stephanie Mellinger out on double dipping. So let's look at this 44-minute mark, and I'll just take us quickly through a couple of things.
Okay.
And that one is just for $2,000, and it will close us out.
We have a motion by Councilman Emery to approve. Second by Councilman Steele. Any discussion?
How many nurse practitioners do you have?
2.
Haven't you also budgeted for those under the Indiana Health First Fund?
Because when we created that budget, we weren't sure we were going to get the immunization, so we had to make sure that we kept them in somewhere.
So you're going to have an appropriation for those 2 nurse practitioners under both funds?
Yes, the other reason for that is because the immunization fund or the immunization grant will only pay their salaries when they're doing immunizations. So the state has agreed for us to split their salaries from Health First and immunization. But when we wrote both of those budgets, we didn't know for sure if we were going to have immunization funds. So we wrote it in for extra just in case, and then we won't obviously be using that much. However, that grant is reimbursable. So if we don't spend it, we just don't claim it. We don't invoice for it. The state keeps it.
Which one is that?
Immunization. Mm-hmm.
So their salary is $120,000.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It just comes part out of this one part of it.
Yes. We wrote them, or we're thinking half and half. However, to watch their hours, if they would work more than half of their hours that week in immunization, we can bill it out of immunization for more than half.
And that makes it reimbursable.
Yes. Yes.
And then you would just have extra money in the health first fund.
Yes.
To transfer.
Yes, elsewhere. Mm-hmm.
Is there any other discussion? All in favor,
That
say aye.
passes. But
Aye.
it just shows that she's double dipping.
Thank you very
It
much.
is what it is. But I want to draw attention to the 1
Next,
minute,
we have some
8-second
general
mark.
fund items.
So
and so these would be-
1.08. This is the clerk. I want to draw attention to this one, because this one's a huge problem.
Okay.
Now, is anyone at least a little bit concerned? And I'm actually going to give the credit to Miss Crooms. Is anyone besides Miss Crooms a little bit concerned that only one person in the election office accrued so much overtime? Does this mean she was in there unsupervised by herself? Only one person? Listen to how many hours this person accrued.
And who is it? Oh, they'll tell us.
Couple
Yeah.
of meetings through the year. We'll do what we can to work with you on that. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay. There's no more discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay, that motion carries then. Thank you, Sheriff. Okay, next we have the clerk, Linda Smith.
Good evening, everyone. So I just have a simple request for overtime pay for my elections deputy who worked 109.12 hours overtime.
Jesus.
And she's agreed to accept 40 hours of that in comp time, but the other would need to be paid out. I think the personnel policy says once you hit 60 hours, then it is a monetary pay situation.
So the 1495.07 is the balance of is the payout after you take the.
Did nobody ask her what she's doing?
The payout is 1,495.07.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Emery. Second by Councilwoman Likens. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak to this specific item? Okay. You can come on up here. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask her if she's only one.
She's the only one that got the 60 or above.
Only one.
there's no one else, is there any further council discussion? All in favor, say aye.
How many hours, Catherine?
Passes. Thank you.
I think she had 109, and so
109.
gave her 40 hours of comp time and gave her 60 some hours in.
And who was it? Is it Heather?
I think so. But here's my question. So does that mean she was working unsupervised? Shouldn't
Yeah,
you have two people?
That's weird. I don't know. That's weird. I'm gonna have to dig into that.
And Linda says she's the only one. You heard it
Yeah.
right there. So,
Yeah.
anyways, so if we go on to the 1 minute and 12
That's weird.
right? So we wanted to just point that out. And again, that's Miss Crooms is the one that picked up on it,
That's good.
right?
That's good. Yeah.
So I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I mean, we got an election coming up. Vote for who you want, but she seems to always be in these meetings. She seems to
Yes.
be streaming these meetings. So, you know, you need to take a hard look at her questioning because that's a fair question.
Yeah.
At the 1 hour and 12 minute mark, they talk about these are where the computers. Now this
Oh
wasn't,
yeah, this is big.
wasn't the budget. And
Health department, the highway department, and the engineer have all offered to pay out of non-general fund money for their PCs. I sent out multiple emails. I've gone around to offices, some of the offices that I know from being on that side of the bench that have discretionary funds. And so that's what I got back. So the total starting out was $369,015. We were able to get the bids, instead of doing a bid, we were able to get the cost off of the state QPA. The state goes out and gets those bids for us. They pick, they find the lowest prices. So we're able to bypass the bid process by using their QPA system. The computers are $984.04 a piece. For a total of $369,015. If we were to lease that entire amount, it was going to be $132,102.25, and that would be with a $1 buyout at the end of that lease. So since those offices were able to help, that dropped that total amount to $291,116.24, or a 3-year lease of $104.32. The total amount that was promised by other offices was $78,000. So what I'm asking tonight.
Are they just leasing computers?
What I would hope,
she gave him the
genuinely, and I realize that, this is grasping at straws, but I would love to not pay the 7.4% financing. I checked with 4 different leasing companies for technology.
That's insane.
And 7.4 SHI was the lowest. I would love to be able to do the 291,116. But that's at your discretion, not mine.
So is this then replacing most of the computers?
It is replacing all of the desktops that we have we call them NJ09. That's the first 4 digits of their serial numbers. Those are the ones that were bought in that original group that we bought the 425 in 4.5 years ago. So we are replacing those computers. And see, I forgot where I was going with that. We're replacing those computers. We are not replacing public use terminals. We're not replacing, there are several public use terminals in the auditor's office, the recorder's office, outside of the 3rd and 4th, or the 4th floor courts. There's a public use terminal there. We're not replacing any of those. Most of these computers too, you have to realize, this isn't like a typical home computer. These are computers that 5 days a week, the majority of them are being used 7 hours a day. A lot of these computers are on and being used 24 hours a day or 24-hour facilities. So, I mean, we have to get a little bit sturdier computer than what you would get if you were getting it for your house and using to pay bills once a month.
Could we entertain, a replacement schedule where we're doing, say, 25% a year for 4 years, and there's just always a smaller chunk each year that
We could do that. At this point, though, we've gone so long. We are overdue for a change. Last year, I ended up having to use that money for for our offsite backup hardware, and so that fund on mine in my department has shrunk because I'm having to do that now.
God.
But so we didn't get any last year. I shared that with you all at budget time that we didn't, and I would be coming this year.
Don't cry about it.
And I mean, we can. It would just be really hard for me to say, okay, this year you all, and then maybe 3 years.
next chunk of them done, then start the 4-year replacement cycle.
That would be great. And because I'm just saying it now, January 17th, it'll be somebody else's problem.
Yeah. But because again, it gets back to the same thing with the sheriff. I mean, we're being brought a $291,000 request mid-year without, with.
So they go ahead and they approve this. Now, here's my problem with this whole thing. My whole thing is one, you got 4 departments who can come off of close to what, $90-some thousand because they've got extra money in their departments. And who's one of those main departments? The health department.
Yeah, right.
I mean, hello, I'm just really struggling with this whole concept. And so that means that each one of those departments came off 20,000, a piece if we divided it by 4, and they got that down to 291. Here's the thing. When somebody in leadership says, it's really not going to be my problem come January 13th, that is complete disgust.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
who says that? I mean,
Yeah.
why don't you just go now then?
Yeah,
Why don't
right.
you just be done? If that's how you feel about the taxpayers' money, then just be done. I like
Yeah.
Lisa. She's always been good to us in the coroner's office.
Who
but
is that lady?
Lisa Cannon. But that was about the most ridiculous thing you can hear from somebody coming out of their mouth. Well, I really don't give a shit because I'm leaving. Well, come on. You're still going to be a taxpayer, aren't you?
Yeah,
so you
right.
should be a little bit concerned. So, and when she says, well, we got hacked 4 or 5 years ago, we should be cycling these, but we didn't do that. Well, who put you in your position? Because if you didn't really do your job, then you have failed the people. These should have already been on a cycle. You cannot possibly tell me if we have a fleet of cars that we bought in 2010, that every one of these cars is going to go bad at the same time. You're going to have to section off the ones that you can save, replace the ones that absolutely have to be replaced, and begin to cycle them through that way. But no, we can't have that thought process here. So now we're going to give them $300,000 that they didn't put for budget. But you know what? They didn't rake her over the coals like they're raking everybody like they did Beeman.
Right.
I mean, he's asking for half of the cost.
Right.
And then she goes on and she's like, well, if I could get these right now, it really would be good because I've got a high school kid who's doing an internship and I could put him to work putting these all in. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? The career centers run all year long. So if you contact them in the fall, I bet you they'll give you some more kids because they need internships. So that's like a lame excuse. So I'm really put out with the fact of
and plugging in a desktop computer is not that damn hard.
Well, clearly it must be in Madison County.
It's like 5 cords.
Right? So
and that's if you have a hardline Ethernet. Jesus, yeah. Mary and Joseph.
Well, and so this just, and the fact that they passed it was, I just am shaking my head, but yet you can't find medical attention. And I'm going to tell you something, your malpractice is going to be more than what she's doing. And they're going to get a malpractice suit. I'm telling you.
No question.
Yeah. And anybody whose family member was ever previously hurt in the jail or died when they had unlicensed people in there, they could probably come back and start talking to attorneys about, hey, wait a minute, they didn't even have licensed people in there. My
Yeah.
person died. So I'd be real careful with the fact that now they're kicking this can down the road. So the last bit of this whole meeting, because everybody's been so great to hang in there, is at the 1 hour 27. And this is why they don't want to come off the money.
Okay.
Never get into that, and don't forget that your bond rating is based on your cash balance. Right. I went through this at a conference in Orlando last week, and many questions were answered for us, and it's exactly where the county's been going for the last several years and where we want to be, and substantiated what we've been doing. And our cash balances being at what they are going to get us the best bond rating. But the second thing on that, one thing that was considered adequate in 2015 for the county was what they call management, but it's our policies. What are you doing? What do you have written? If you spend some of your money, if you spend some of your rainy day fund money that you've got coverage here, then what's your plan to put back within a period of time? All those are policies that we need to be working on also. So sorry for the long dissertation. It's just solid financial management, but money needs to be put away for assets too.
Yeah. Well, I know the last couple of years we've had like 2 million, 2.5 million come back from our general fund. That instead of putting it in the rainy day, that maybe we need to look at putting it into a capital improvement fund or whatever for those kind of things.
Okay, is there any further council discussion?
I have a question. So, Rick, during your presentation, you said the cash balance of the general fund was roughly $1,038,621.
Yes.
So that's how much we have that we could appropriate at this meeting.
No, that's
just
the cash you have in the bank that's going to pay any expenses.
So what do we have available to appropriate?
Well, anything you appropriate is going to go over your $43.5 million budget. So anything that you appropriate tonight, no matter what it is or who it's for, is going to reduce the cash balance. That's it. Right there. You're going to get your cash draw, and Councilwoman Norton mentioned something a while ago about money back at the end of the year. I don't know, a lot of people don't realize that your whole budget process is an 18-month project, and you take into consideration what's going to happen in an 18-month period when you write your budget. You go back to the first 6 months of the year, you get a cash balance, you predict what you're going to appropriate for the end of the year. So, like, if somebody don't spend the whole budget at the end of the year, that's not the extra money. It's already calculated into your budget process and your revenues and your spending for the year. And just to clarify something, most of the monies that we have put in the rainy day fund are from interest earned through the phenomenal work of the treasurer's office. The high interest rates you have right now. I went to the bank today.
This guy's a joke.
On one account, 5.75%. It's because that's not going to last forever. We had through the CARES Act, they reimbursed us for public safety wages. That got us a bump. So we got that bump. It's a variety of that tax sales where people don't claim their surplus after 3 years. That rolls in the general fund. It's those kind of things that's added up to get that up there. It's not through trimming in the budgets back. You've seen that on your screen a while ago. Your budgets have been going up, your cash balances have been going down, and all those eggs we've been gathering and putting in this rainy day basket is from all other sources that are not continuing revenues. They're one-time revenues that we gathered to put in a bank account.
What kind of liability, if we don't replace the computers now, what kind of liability does that open the county up to? I mean, what do you do if one goes down? I mean, do you have the means to be able to fix them?
We don't, not typically. I mean, we upgrade them. Them going down isn't the problem. Them staying up and up to date is the problem.
Yeah, so
We
you're not gonna
can-
take the security. You won't be able to have your security patches.
There will.
I've heard that same problem.
So let me just lay this all down for the people.
Okay.
I'm not sure these people listen to themselves speak. Now, at the beginning of this meeting, Rick's saying, oh, our phenomenal, us making this interest and we've done all this stuff. And now he's back here going, well, that CARES Act money. And well, we raised the local income taxes and so Rick, you didn't do any of this mastermind.
Yeah, right.
All this came from handouts, like I said in the beginning, and then you come back here all the way to the end thinking people have forgotten what you said in the beginning. I mean, I don't really know, and no disrespect, but moron is about the only thing I can come up with.
Yeah.
Because if they listen to themselves speak, they don't even make sense. And here, Lisa's talking about, well, if they don't stay up, you're paid to keep these things going. That's their job. That's what IT does. So you mean to tell me that you guys have no concept of how to keep something going?
Yeah.
I just don't understand any of this whole mess. And they knew that they needed to cycle this. And so now Ben wants her to get on a cycle. Well, you're going to buy all new computers right now. So in 25, are you going to take a section of those and say, okay, we need, 200 of those. So now we're going to divide that by 4. So we're going to replace 50 of them in 25.
Yeah.
Replace 50 of them in 26. So you're going to replace perfectly good computers. You're never going to get on the cycle because you're never making her get on the cycle. It's the same thing with the health department. They get new vehicles from a grant in 22. Well, what's she do? She buys all new fleet of vehicles in 24. It makes no sense at all. These people are reckless.
They're
with their
idiots.
spending, and they need to be held accountable for this. You got Bethany, you got Jody trying, but you know what? They can't fix stupid. And that's where we're at.
It's not the council that's going to hold them accountable. It's people.
People
need to come forward and hold them accountable.
Yeah, and here's the thing. The commissioners all want to scream at Beeman about a contract. Your commissioners had to approve it. They approved it. And here's what I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to say this to every one of them because the wrong question was asked about these computers. What should have been asked to Gardner is this. If we have money to pay for that $142,000 that Beeman's asking, and we don't pay it, what will our malpractice be for being negligent? There's a whole different ball game called negligence. That is gross negligence.
Yeah.
Why they're doing this? And here's the thing. This company could say, you know what? I don't know that these guys are going to come off the money. So are we going to put every resource we've got into this? Now, you want to say that that wouldn't be the case, but sometimes that happens when you don't think you may have a contract. Why are you, when you've got Hamilton County that may be willing to go all in. So they got a lot of balls in the air going here, and they got a lot of negligence taking place. So now what you just said is the computers take precedence over people's loved ones that are incarcerated. This is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
But that's just my 2 cents. It's my point of view. I just want the people to know. So I know we've gone long tonight, but
no, I like it. I love it. It's great.
Hopefully it was worth everybody's time.
Yeah, it was. It was. The biggest and best question that I've got for you, and the most pressing, is where the hell are you at? It looks like you're coming to us live from Cheeseburger in Paradise.
So this is one of my homes where the whole basement is airbrushed, and I don't know if you can see it, but the whole place has.
Holy crap!
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's all airbrushed. This is a tiki hut.
Dude, that is amazing.
Yeah, this is all airbrushed.
This is the best place in the world for a podcast.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, you'd have to see it. It's got the beach and it's got the flowers. And
I love it.
It's got, I don't know, So it's
Dude,
over.
This is amazing.
Yeah, over there's the stairway where you can walk on the beach and everything.
Hell yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and then there's a cutout room. So yeah, this was all.
A couple other people asked that, so I figured I needed to ask you before we go. That's really cool.
Yeah, it just depends on where I want to go to whatever home to podcast from.
I might need to move there.
Yeah, it's a great thing. So, I appreciate what everybody has to offer up. I hope we can make a difference in Madison County. And I hope that we can expose. I do hope Lisa Rinker runs again. I do want to, before we end the show, I want to give a huge shout out to Mark West Higgins, who is running as a Libertarian for District 2 against Gardner and Ollie Dixon.
Yes.
Because Russ is a colossal screw up.
Yes.
and is forcing good people to branch out to other areas. Now you're forcing hands, Russ, and you are a disaster to Madison County, and you need to go.
It's probably better. Marquest Higgins is probably more a libertarian than he was a Republican, so that it's probably a better home.
It might, yeah, and it might be. It's just sad how Russ is destroying this county, and people
Russ is
are
a
leaving him in
complete idiot.
power.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he thinks he makes his own rules. I mean, he's bullying Miss Crooms. I mean, he's out of control. He's literally out of control. And so, I'm just going to continue to expose all of his corruption and all the things that him and Linda do. People need to be asking questions why one single person has that many overtime hours.
Oh, that's a real big problem. That's a real big question that people absolutely need to be asking. What's the deal with that? Why is that happening? And what's going on? So yeah.
So good luck to Marquest as he's running, good luck to Rainwater.
I like Marquest.
Yeah. So there's lots of things. Hopefully Miss Crooms will join Wednesday night and give her point of view on lots of things. And Miss Crooms is all about the process.
Yeah.
What are we doing? How's that going? So we'll see how things go.
Hey, she's a hardcore Democrat. I understand that her and I probably don't align nationally, but as far as locally goes, she's a badass bitch. I love her. I've watched her thing for a long time. I have massive amounts of respect for her. I love what she did on the council. I hope she's my number one person that I'll be pushing for on the Madison County Council. I hope that we can get her elected to the Madison County Council. She's amazing.
She's certified in many areas.
Yeah.
For this kind of work.
And you don't mess with her.
Yeah.
They won't mess with her. And just bottom line is she would have asked that question. She would have asked that question if she was a counselor sitting on the council when they came up. If that was her, she came up with that, she would have asked that question, love Bethany and all of that. But Bethany didn't ask the question. Jody didn't ask the question. Katherine would have asked it. And that's a thing. So
and Katherine and Rebecca got up from her seat. And she said, I have a question. Now the sad thing is none of them cared. Yeah. She's the only one.
Yeah.
And you would have thought that would have sparked somebody else on the council to say, whoa, wait a minute here.
Yeah.
Big problem.
Absolutely ridiculous.
So
very good.
Thanks for having me on. Thanks for letting me do this show with you. And hopefully Miss Crooms will be on Wednesday night. I'm pretty sure she's a good to go for that. And then maybe you can get Marquest on there. And at the end of the day, yes, I am a Republican through and through. But I will always educate the people. I am never going to say because somebody else is a different party line that the people don't have the right to know who's running or what's going on. People have the right to know. And the biggest thing about the council right now is that is a full board of Republicans.
Yeah.
I don't know that
they're a freaking problem.
Yeah, and I don't know that we were made to be only one-sided party.
No.
There's not one minority on there.
No, right.
So something to think forward for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, very good. Katherine, I appreciate you coming on and talking with us. And we'll look forward to having you on again.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Stay put real quick. I'm going to put you down here below. All right. Hey, look, there Marquest is. Hello there, Marquest, sir. Thank you for hanging out. And I was very honored to meet you that time and hope that our paths will cross again. And I am very happy that you're running as a libertarian. And I think that you're probably more at home as a libertarian than as a Republican. So I'm glad you're there and wish you all the best. And we'll help you however we can. Thank you for watching. And you're that's a good guy right there. Marquest Higgins is badass. So that guy's awesome. So yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Steve. You guys have a great evening. Look, real quick, I do want to say before you leave, hit the like. I know there's only like 16 of you in here. It's been a long show, and it's been real kind of in the weeds, but it's important stuff. It's very important information. Share the show with everyone you know. Even if you don't live in Madison County, the principles and the things that we talked about, it's happening where you're at. Even if you're not in Indiana, these type of things are going on there, so you need to know what to look for. Very important. Just as a kind of a housekeeping measure for what we're going to be looking at this week, we have a Muncie City Council meeting tomorrow. I've already got it up. It's on YouTube, ready to go. It's just waiting. It will be live there at 7 p.m. You can click on it and you'll be able to watch the live stream of the Muncie City Council meeting. For any of you people from Muncie, it's open to the public. So I would recommend you coming out and attending in audience above and beyond anything. That's the way to do it. But if you can't do that, you can watch it live from your home, from your phone, do whatever you can to watch it, or you can watch it after the fact. We will be on, Audie and I will be on afterwards to discuss it, talk about what's going on in the city of Muncie and breaking all that down. We will be live tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, or the first half hour after whenever we leave, if we leave after 9 p.m. So that's that. We will also call out Mr. Dale Basham because, as I said, tonight's Sunday the 30th, 881 days. Tomorrow when we see him, it'll be 882 days.
100, honey.
So, what am I saying?
182. You're saying 882.
And well, that's true too. It might be. It's like in dog years.
Get there,
in
sure,
Basham years, yeah. 182.
Sure, but
yeah. All right, that's true. I was talking about in Basham years. So in people years, it's 181 days and 182 days for tomorrow. In Basham years, it's 800 or whatever I was saying. So you guys have a good evening. Take care of yourselves. God bless each and every one of you. Have a great Monday, and we'll see you here tomorrow for the council meeting. And then when we go live, you guys take care. Have a good evening. God bless. Good night. You know,